July on Switch turned into a month that's hungry for your wallet. Everywhere you look, there are big jrpgs, a couple of out-of-nowhere exclusives, and ports fans have been waiting years for, and somehow almost all of them piled onto the same 2 weeks. Your wallet is already flinching. Splatoon Raiders showed up last summer, then Nintendo went completely quiet, and only this spring did we finally get a proper 3-minute trailer with a date attached. And here's the thing that surprised me most. This isn't the Splatoon you know. No Team Turf Wars. Instead of a fighter, you play a mechanic who lands on the Spearhalite Islands with the Deep Cut trio and raids salmonid-infested ruins for treasure. You won't be alone either, since you can run the raids with up to 4 people locally or online, and one Deep Cut member always backs you up piloting a big mech. That long post-reveal silence did make me a little nervous. That kind of thing rarely ends well. But the price wins me over, because $50 for the digital version is noticeably cheaper than Nintendo usually charges for a big exclusive.
Is at the base of those lights. But hominids aren't the only powerful ones around here. Through battles, you, the mechanic,
now fallen under Ardanian control.
Quick reality check for anyone who thinks this is the 2017 original. It isn't. This is the Switch 2 edition. The upgrade is mostly about how it looks. You get 4K and 60 frames on a TV, 1080p, and the same 60 frames per second in handheld, and the cutscenes have been cleaned up. The new content is thinner than you'd hope. Just one rare blade with its own quest, a couple of fresh outfits for Pyra and Mithra, and a mode where you control your blades directly in mercenary skirmishes. Torna gets the free bump to the new hardware too. Xenoblade 2 itself is a massive JRPG that runs well past 100 hours, and years later it still splits the room down the middle, since some people can't stand the gacha-style blade gambling and the fan service, while others love it for exactly that.
Rex used to work as a salvager, scavenging useful resources from beneath ones over the world's military affairs. Next, the Argentum Trade Guild.
What you call us Digimon? I'll always be right here with you.
Who exactly are you?
This JRPG has been out on other platforms for over half a year now. It's already sold past 1 million copies and pulled in solid scores. Now it's both Switch consoles' turn. It's a proper monster collector with over 450 Digimon to catch in turn-based battles. The hook lands fast, since a secret agency operative meets a strange creature right before an explosion wipes out an entire city, then wakes up 8 years earlier. Switch 2 even gives you a choice, either 4K at 30 frames for the looks, or 60 frames per second in full HD for the smoothness, which is interesting because PS5 and Xbox were locked to 30. I wouldn't vouch for the plain Switch version though. It's a heavy game and I'd wait for the first tests before buying.
Anomalies.
It's probably a phase of
Time.
If the gate is opened with the digital world in such a state.
Total chaos on rails. No other way to put it. You ride a train that ignores gravity through a dystopian Japan, pulling flips, grinding rails, and racking up points while fending off an evil megacorp and an ever more unhinged lineup of bosses. Picture Jet Set Radio with a whole train instead of a skateboard. The Switch 2 demo is already out, and it held a steady 60 frames even in handheld, which is a real plus. A couple of caveats though. The release slipped from June to July because the devs needed more polishing time, and the demo landed differently for different people. Some got hooked instantly, while others never quite felt the magic in the controls. The soundtrack, by the way, comes from people who worked on Sonic Mania and Shredder's Revenge, so the audio side is in great shape. The sequel to that satirical shooter about chatty guns is heading to Switch 2, and you'll want to dial your expectations down right away. It came out on the other platforms back in February and pulled mixed reviews, with praise for the story and traversal, but a pile of complaints about the shooting and the technical state at launch. The core idea is still charming, a whole arsenal of talking weapons, and now you can pick your replies in conversations with them so their personalities come through more. It's a single-player game with no microtransactions and no live service nonsense, which is a rarity these days. But the Switch 2 port has been delayed twice, most recently from April to July, and it ships as a game key card, so the cartridge only holds a key, and you'll be downloading the 30+ gigs yourself.
Outfit Lizzie rolls with? The Bleeding Stars? Looks like they got into some sort of trouble and now...
A successor to Patapon from the same creators, and for longtime fans, it's almost a holiday. It mixes rhythm with a roguelite, so you command an army of Kobun to the beat, march across a constantly shifting world and wipe out everything in your path, and you can do it with 4 people online. It's been in early access on Steam since last fall and cleared 100,000 sales in its first month, so the foundation is there. Here's the sour note though, the plain Switch version has been officially killed off. The devs admitted they couldn't get the online running properly on the old hardware and put everything into Switch 2. If you were waiting for it on the first console, tough luck. On the bright side, the Switch 2 physical is a real cartridge for $40. None of that keycard business. There's a catch here. This flashy action RPG from 2024 has finally reached Nintendo, but not in the shape you remember it. On Switch 2, it arrives as Endless Ragnarok straight away, the base game plus a big expansion in one box, and it's the series' debut on Nintendo platforms. The main draw is combat with a party of 4, where link attacks and chain bursts build into proper fireworks, and you can run the co-op missions online. Newcomers to action games get an assist mode to reach the ending without suffering. Early impressions on Switch 2 say it runs clean and holds its frame rate even when the screen is drowning in effects. Plus, there's crossplay and a demo. Relink's strength was always one thing, its combat system, while the story drew complaints from the start.
Good thing we know where that red ship is going.
Two giants of the PS2 era in one collection, Tidus and the summoner Yuna against an endless nightmare called Sin, and the sequel where Yuna goes off hunting spheres herself. Together they add up to well over 100 hours. Let's be honest though, this is the same HD remaster from way back in 2014 that's been sitting on the first Switch for years. What's actually new on Switch 2 is the features that used to be PC only, a speed-up toggle, and the option to switch off random encounters plus a few small touches. Handy, but it's a remaster, not a remake, so don't expect any visual miracles. In the West, the release is digital, with the boxed version coming later and mostly in Japan. A series plenty of people forgot is back with its first genuinely new entry in 10 years, and it's a prequel to the very first game from 1997. For the uninitiated, Culdcept is a cross between a board game and a card game. You roll a die, move around the board, claim tiles, and fight for them with a 40-card deck, and there are around 400 cards in total. Think Monopoly crossed with a collectible card game. The Switch 2 edition lives on a single cartridge that also runs on the regular Switch, and the nice part is game share, since up to 4 people can play even if 3 of them don't own the game. There's mouse support too. The genre is niche and won't pull any trees up by the roots, but as an evening with friends, it's a good time. A fighter set in the Avatar universe with hand-drawn 2D animation that matches the show's spirit, a genre fans have wanted for ages. The launch roster is 12 fighters, and people are already grumbling that it's thin for a universe this big, though it'll grow through a season pass. The animation is gorgeous. Over 900 frames per character, there's a single-player story campaign, crossplay, and rollback netcode, which online fighters basically can't survive without these days. The road here was rocky, an announcement, then a de facto cancellation, then a revival, and the date has slipped more than once, most recently from early July to the end of the month. A cozy life sim, but wrapped in gothic. You play a vampire who crawls out from the shadow of his own dad, the literal Dracula, and moves into the abandoned family farm in a town called Moonlight Peaks. From there, it's the usual genre routine. Magic crops, mystical livestock, potions, spells, and romances with the local werewolves, witches, and mermaids, with a couple dozen characters you can actually date. The twist is that life runs at night, as a vampire should, and the town has a whole pile of secrets tied to 7 families. It's basically Stardew Valley dressed in black. And here's the problem. Cozy farming sims are everywhere right now, so Moonlight Peaks will have to win on atmosphere, especially since the devs haven't said a word about any Switch 2 specific perks. This one's a bold leap for the series. For 20 years, Disgaea was a tactical JRPG where you ran your squad from a bird's eye view, and Mayhem goes and flips the whole thing into a pure action game with you mowing down monster crowds directly. You play a mercenary named N.A. saddled with a sweet-toothed princess, who constantly demands flan and pudding, and you slaughter everything in sight for cash. Weapons are split across 7 classes, each with its own style. The series' trademark madness is intact, the wild grinding. Damage numbers reaching for the moon, the item world, reincarnation, the local parliament you push bills through for even bigger hits. And you can drag classic prinnies into your party. Moss and Moss Book 2 were once among the best things VR ever produced. A tender adventure about a mouse named Quill, where you don't just guide the hero, you're physically present in the world as her unseen guardian. Now both games and the DLC have been bundled into one collection and reworked for a regular screen, no headset. And that's both the good news and the worry at the same time. The good news is that everyone can finally try them. The worry is that in VR, the whole thing leaned on that sense of presence and the bond with the hero, and on a flat screen it could easily slide into a decent but ordinary third-person puzzle platformer.
You ain't no rage quitter. No, sir. You are gonna rise. You're gonna
Closing things out with a small but catchy indie. Pit Panic is a fast roguelite platformer where you play a curious archaeologist tearing through handcrafted levels, leaping over traps and taking down ancient bosses. The whole point is the hook, a kind of all-purpose gadget you use to dig through blocks, swing over pits, and crack open hidden stashes. It's all built on physics, sand melts into glass, jelly bursts into fire, and a bridge becomes a weapon when you need it to. It looks lively and has character, but I'd hold the hype. Since it's a tiny studio, there's barely any info so far, and all we know for certain is the release month with no exact date. And yes, it's announced for Switch 2 only, the regular Switch misses out. Whether it lands or not, we'll see. But as a side dish to the rest of the list, it works just fine.
Sand into glass and keys into weapons if necessary. Because